Right now at 5, the KOAM Nation asks for more families to take care of children in the foster system.
And we've got another hot day across the area, plentiful sunshine as well. We still have some relief on the way. We'll look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, prosecutors announced plans to file charges against a former police chief involved in a raid on a Kansas newspaper.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
That. We always, sometimes we need that reminder.
Yes,
really,
we do.
Because I'm only about half awake right now.
Fantastic. I love it. I do. I really do.
It's like having that second cup of coffee in the morning. It really just gets you going. Man, where are we right now? Where am I?
I don't know.
Right
well,
now?
It's starting right now. At least
it
we
is.
know that.
Something has started right now. I'm not sure what. It's going to be hot though again. I mean, not like it wasn't hot yesterday. I'm telling you, the car, I got in it. Boy, you could have run a small Pizza Hut out of the car with how hot it was.
Is that so?
I think so. You could have baked a lot of things inside the vehicle. And you couldn't touch the steering wheel. It's too hot. And it's going to be a little hotter today, unfortunately. But like I said, some relief is still on the way. But let's get you out the door. Let's get your Tuesday started off with some useful information. Starting first, though, with a live look outside from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Looking pretty good so far. Saw that southerly breeze. But remember, later today, that wind is going to shift out of the north, and that's going to bring in some drier air for us. Our camera 7th in range line looking pretty good as well this morning. We'll head south to 32nd in range line. These traffic lights, don't anybody ever say you can't see them, because those LED lights that they put in these things, you can see them from miles away. At least by night, you can't say you didn't see the light was red. They're extraordinarily bright, looking good. We do have some heat advisories, though, into northeastern Oklahoma until 9 o'clock this evening. Could see those heat index values reaching 105 to 110. So still dangerous heat, not excessive like last week, but still uncomfortable. And we're still going to be dealing with some of that across the entire area today. So even if you're not under a heat advisory, keep in mind it's still going to be hot. We're talking low 90s by noon. We're looking at highs mid-upper 90s, and again, maybe even some low 100s for some of us out there. Quick look at temperatures now. It's already pretty warm. 75 in Joplin, 73 in Pittsburgh. And bear in mind, our average low is about 69 degrees. So we're a little bit above that across most of the area. Now, this is one of those weird flips where further north you are, it's warmer. We've got mid-upper 70s. You go a little further south, it's a little cooler. That's because of the front that's going to roll up and bring in some of that dry air, and then we'll get those north winds on the backside. Sunny skies today. Again, highs mid-upper 90s for most of us. Some lower 100s absolutely possible across the region. We're going to get that front end. It's not going to drop our temperatures significantly, but it'll drop those humidity levels and dry out the air a little bit. We'll talk about that and some of those rain chances later this week in the full forecast, and that's coming up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
Chris, thanks. Well, today is Election Day for Kansas and Missouri. Voters in both states will decide primary elections featuring a variety of races, including state and local offices, as well as some tax issues. KOAM's Amber Jenkins joins us live from Villas Heights Christian Church in Joplin, Missouri. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning. It's an hour until Missouri polling locations open their doors on this sleepy Tuesday morning. I spoke to the Jasper County elections clerk about what to expect on this year's ballot for the primary election.
It is a primary election, and it's a full election. We have U.S. Senate race, we have a governor's race, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general, as well as every congressional races up this time. Then we have a lot of county races, the treasurer, the sheriff, the coroner, public administrator.
Missouri polling locations are set to open at 6 a.m. Elise, back to you.
All right, thanks, Amber. The Peoria County, Illinois coroner releases the cause of death of Sydney Watson, a Carl Junction 8-year-old who died on a flight to Chicago. Watson died in June while flying from Joplin to Chicago, and the flight diverted to Peoria, Illinois, due to the little girl's medical complications. The coroner has now determined she died from complications from multiple infections, which they say suggest an underlying autoimmune disorder. Well, Two special prosecutors say they plan to charge a former Central Kansas police chief over his conduct following a raid last year on his town's newspaper. It stems from an August 2023 police raid on the Marion County Record and the home of its publisher. Prosecutors say former Marion Police Chief Gideon Cody obstructed justice by withholding information from investigators. Authorities also say the newspaper and its staff committed no crimes. Well, now you can stay up to date with the latest news, weather, and sports with the KOAM Plus TV streaming app. It's available on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV Plus, and Roku. The player is also available on our news and weather apps as well as our website. Watch live streaming anytime, absolutely free. The KOAM Plus TV streaming app. Well, Quapaw Nation is in dire need of foster parents for children. Carissa Millard is the Indian Child Welfare Director for Quapaw Nation and says they're having an extra hard time finding a home for teenage children. Quapaw Nation is looking for tribal foster parents that will help kids with their mental health journey and keep them connected to their culture.
Each case is different, and we want to make sure that just because this one child needs this service doesn't mean that this child doesn't need another service. So really kind of doing a wraparound type creation that helps every child in need of these services.
Willard says it's very rewarding for foster parents to see the growth of their foster child. Potential foster parents must be at least 21 and complete a home study before they accept the child into their home. The Franklin, Kansas Miners Hall Museum is proud to help showcase the history of Southeast Kansas, but they want to make sure they're preserving it too. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how museum staff hope a federal program will help them protect the past.
My grandparents were miners. My father worked on Big Brutus, so I grew up on a coal camp, Daisy Hill.
Southeast Kansas mining history, as well as early families, is showcased all throughout the Miners Hall Museum, drawing thousands of visitors a year, such as this group from Italy. Susan Bester helps walk visitors through all the different displays, helping to answer any questions they may have.
It's really rewarding, especially when someone finds a name in the library or find what they did and what the day-to-day things were for the family. People are always excited when they discover, and it might be good, it might be bad, you just never know.
But the Miners Hall Museum wants to do more than just showcase history. They hope to preserve it. That's why museum staff applied for the Collection Assessment for Preservation program, also known as CAPS, a federally run program that helps different sites learn what steps they can do to improve their preservation efforts. Only 71 sites were chosen across the country.
It's an assessment program, and it will help us evaluate our museum and what we're doing correctly, what we're doing incorrectly. It will give us some guidance, and we were very excited to be accepted for that program.
The museum was one of only 14 in the nation to receive data loggers that will be used to measure the temperature and humidity of certain exhibits. Museum staff say the information they learn from these data loggers will help tell them what steps they may need to take to help preserve certain artifacts.
There's so many things that go along with preserving the artifacts, whether it's temperature, whether it's the lighting. There's just a lot that goes into it. It's just not, you don't just put a name on something and stick it on a shelf. And each item, whether it's paper, cloth, whatever it is made of, requires some different type of care.
And the museum staff say their acceptance into the program couldn't have come at a better time as they plan for an expansion of the site.
This will give us a lot of guidance in what we need to do and plan for in that new building by showing us what we're doing correctly and incorrectly currently.
And for Susan, who loves showcasing the area's history, she's excited that the artifacts that matter to visitors will be able to exist for years to come.
It's amazing that we had so many people who had the foresight to save these artifacts.
Reporting in Franklin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Miners Hall Museum staff say they hope to receive a final report on the results of the program in the beginning of next year. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Riverton 12U All-Stars play an elimination game for the second day in a row. We'll have the details. Plus, North Korea shows off their latest missile system as an effort to defend the nation from potential threats. And we have another hot and sunny day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Well, Riverton 12U All-Stars lost their first game of the Midwest Region Tournament, but stayed alive after beating Nebraska in an elimination game Sunday evening. Yesterday morning, they're on the brink of elimination again, facing the Minnesota State champs. Riverton All-Stars in that elimination game for the second day in a row, facing those state champs, the Minnesota. They fall behind early. This pass ball allows Minnesota to score the first run of the game in the first inning. Riverton responds, though. Bottom of the first, Jed Pillar rips a base hit down the line into left. That's 2 unanswered runs and gives the Kansas State champs the lead. Riverton enters the fourth inning with a 4-2 lead, but things go south from there. This RBI single puts Minnesota in front 6-4. They're not finished yet. Another run will score to make it 10-4. Minnesota scores 10 runs in the fourth. Bottom of the inning, though, this helps the comeback effort. Nolan Rogers blasts a solo home run over the fence in left center. But that big deficit proves to be a little too much. The Riverton All-Star season ends in the Midwest Region Tournament as one of the last 6 teams standing. Final score 16-6. Riverton is eliminated from the Midwest Regional, but Webb City still remains alive and well. Missouri State champs are one of 2 teams yet to lose a game. They face South Dakota on Wednesday at 11 a.m., a game you can watch on ESPN. Win or lose, Webb City is guaranteed to play at least one more game either on Thursday or Friday. Well, college football season less than a month away. We get a step closer to kickoff yesterday morning as the preseason FBS coaches poll gets released. Here's the top half of the preseason 25. No surprise to see perennial powerhouses Georgia and Ohio State at 1 and 2. Big expectations this year for Missouri. The Tigers enter the season as the number 11 team in the country after going 11 and 2 in 2023. Here's the second half of that top 25. Oklahoma ranked 16th to begin year 3 under Brent Venables, and their first as a member of the SEC. 3 of the Big 12 teams in the area follow suit. Kansas State right behind OU at 17, then Oklahoma State is number 18, and Kansas is the number 24 team in the preseason coaches poll. Still to come, we're going to see why more schools are introducing meditation exercises to help students deal with stress. And we're having another look at that hot forecast and whether there's any relief on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:18 now on this Tuesday morning, and it is already warm outside, and it is going to be another hot one yet again across the area. We are starting with a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Again, right now, we still have that southerly breeze across the area, but we are going to see a switch out of the north, and that's going to usher in some drier air, which will help a little bit over the next few days. Our camera at 7th in range line, also looking pretty good. Now we'll go to the MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. Also a fantastic start to the day. Let's cross state lines, head over to Kansas. And the KDOT camera at 69 in Kansas Crossing, looking pretty good as well this morning. We're all dry, and that's how we're going to remain for at least a while here. So by noon, that's when we start to see these winds begin to shift. So they're going to be out of the west initially, and then they're going to start to switch out of the north. Now again, it's August, it's the summertime. A cold front in August very rarely means cold temperatures, but it will bring in that drier air. So we're still looking at highs today, mid-upper 90s, maybe even some lower 100s here and there. We'll go into our Wednesday. We're going to start the day partly cloudy and considerably cooler at this point. We're looking at least to fall back in the mid mid upper 60s across the area, so at or even slightly below normal. Throughout the day on Wednesday, we're going to see exactly how everything pans out, but we're looking to be maybe low to mid 90s for most of us. Some of us, though, upper 80s. We'll have another pretty cool night Thursday as well. And then as we head into Thursday, could start to see at least a slight chance of a few isolated to widely scattered showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms in there in the first half of our Thursday. And as we roll into the noon hour, those will roll on out of here. And then we could see that process repeat for our Friday morning. A reminder, heat advisories in northeastern Oklahoma through 9 o'clock tonight, because it is still going to be quite hot, especially the further south you go. 75 in Joplin right now. Dew point humidity both still up a bit. South-southwest breeze at 6. Around the area, temperature spotty. We've got 68 in Jay as the cool spot. The rest of us low, mid, and even upper 70s. Take a look at Chanute right now, sitting at 77. Same with Sedan. So we've got some warm spots out there for sure this morning. As we look at our morning, getting our day started here, sunny skies, hot, about 90 by 11 o'clock this morning. And then as we head into the afternoon, again, highs, most of us upper 90s, maybe even some low 100s here and there. As the system in the front rolls in, some of us may drop back a bit into the upper 80s and low 90s. But for the majority of us, we're going to peak out with highs, again, upper 90s to near 100 degrees. Then this evening, again, mostly clear, and it will cool off with this drier air. So it's going to be slow to get there, but overnight, it will fall back. Could have a few clouds here and there, and we'll be back again mid-upper 60s. We should be about 69 for our low, so we're going to be pretty close to that. We're going to go low 90s, mid 90s tomorrow, mid 90s on Thursday, and then with these rain chances and this little disturbance that's going to come through, that's going to kick our temperatures down a bit as we head into the weekend. We're going to fall back into the mid to upper 80s. As we head into next week, boy, that looks absolutely beautiful in terms of the rain. I know we don't like the rainy days. You know, like the carpenters said, they can bring you down sometimes, but we need the rain across the area. We also need this break from the heat. We're going to get a little bit of both. Scattered shower and thunderstorm chances for a good portion of next week. They're slight, but they are there. Temperatures staying around average as we go upper 80s and low 90s. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. More schools across the nation are introducing mindfulness, yoga, and meditation exercises to help students deal with emotions and stress. The CDC endorsing schools' use of the de-stressing techniques after a clear drop in mental health in students after the pandemic. Research shows that programs help students, especially those in low-income communities where students deal with high levels of trauma or stress. The CDC reporting last year that 1/3 of students were experiencing feelings of persistent hopelessness and sadness. Children of color have less access to counselors, and Black youth have the fastest growing suicide rate among racial groups. Teachers say they have noticed positive changes in their students since adopting these programs. COVID-19 cases are on the rise again in the U.S. Emergency department visits linked to the virus have been increasing for weeks, according to the CDC. And the most recent data shows the level of COVID-19 in wastewater across the country is high. Mandy Gaither has more on the latest variant that's spreading and when the updated COVID-19 vaccine is expected to be out.
Right now, it's the most common COVID-19 variant in the U.S. KP3, a descendant of the Omicron variant, is spreading across the country. And if it's been a while since you've been vaccinated, you may be vulnerable.
Immunity, we're learning, lasts around 4 to 6 months. So keep that number in the back of your mind. That is probably the reason that we're seeing a summer surge as the protection wears off from the last set of shots.
The 2024-25 COVID-19 vaccines, expected to be out this fall, will target the JN1 strain. Because it too is in the Omicron family, experts expect it to provide protection against strains currently circulating. The CDC recommends everyone ages 6 months and older receive an updated vaccine to protect against getting severely sick from COVID-19, especially those who are most vulnerable, including those who are immunocompromised, have underlying health conditions, certain disabilities, and seniors.
Also, there's been a lot of discussion recently about a combination shot, COVID and flu. Maybe you've heard about this. It would be COVID and flu in the same shot. Moderna, the pharma company, had some positive trial results with that combination earlier this summer, but we're learning it's not going to be ready for this fall.
The CDC says it is safe to receive the COVID-19 and flu vaccines at the same time. Experts recommend you get both before the end of October. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says as of mid-May, less than 23% of U.S. adults reported having received an updated COVID-19 vaccine for the previous season, and less than 15% of children were reported to be up to date with their COVID-19 vaccination. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And as we've been discussing, we've got another hot day across the area, even some heat advisories into northeastern Oklahoma. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, students and parents in Carthage get a chance to learn about the district's bus routes and procedures.
And we've got another hot day across the area, sunny skies, some relief on the way. We'll go over the forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the Pittsburgh High School Marching Band is feeling the music as they kick off band camp. We'll take you there.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's now Tuesday. It's August the 6th, 2024.
Yes.
And here we are.
Here we are. It's Election Day.
It is Election Day. So polls open at 7. So make sure you get out there.
They'll open at 6 in Missouri.
In Missouri.
Yes.
Okay. See, it's been a minute since I've covered elections. So,
Yeah.
But either way, make sure you get out there, take time to vote. Your employer will give you the time to go do that because they have to. So
Yes.
make sure that you exercise that right to vote. There's a lot going on in our country, and if you want to help make a change, every vote counts. And there are plenty of articles. You Google anything you can find. There's plenty of situations where it really came down to 1 or 2 votes to
it matters.
decide something.
Your voice matters.
Absolutely. And we'll have coverage on the election ahead of time, and of course we'll have election results here tomorrow morning as well.
Absolutely.
All right, that's enough about that. Let's talk about the weather, because that's something that over the last a little over 2 years now I've been doing consistently, and I kind of remember most of it at least. We've got a live look from our camera, 7th and Range Line in Joplin. It's looking pretty good. A little further south, 32nd and Range Line, the MoDOT camera there. We're doing all right so far again this morning. A pretty decent start to the day, but it is fairly warm for most of us, and we do have those heat advisories into northeastern Oklahoma through 9 o'clock tonight, so just keep that in mind. We mentioned this yesterday. It was going to be hot, and there was that chance of a heat advisory or two out there, and we did get some. Now, even if you're not in a heat advisory, it does not mean it's not going to be hot today. It just means it's expected to be a little hotter down to the south. By noon, though, take a look at these wind arrows. Already starting to shift now out of the west and up a little further north. They're now coming out of the north. So that's where we're going to get some varied temperatures today. If we look at the future track, you're going to see some of us may make it into only the low 90s and then start to fall back into the upper 80s. But the majority of us that will be ahead of these northerly winds are going to have an opportunity today, unfortunately, get upper 90s, as you can see into Oklahoma, maybe even the lower 100s out there. So we're definitely still looking at a hot day, and we'll cool down slowly, but with the north winds coming in overnight tonight, that's going to help our temperatures tonight. Quick look at temperatures right now. 75 in Joplin, 73 in Pittsburgh. Bear in mind our average low 69, so most of us above that except for Jay. Otherwise, we're low, mid, and even upper 70s to start the day. So again, warm, uncomfortable start ahead of a relatively warm and uncomfortable day. Sunny skies, highs, most of us upper 90s, lower 100s out there, so do keep that in mind. We will cool back a little bit as we head into the weekend. We got some rain chances as well. Go over those details in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
See you soon, Chris. Well, it's Election Day for primaries in Kansas and Missouri. Voters in both states will cast their ballots in a variety of races, including state and local offices, as well as some tax issues. The polls in Missouri are just about to open. KOAM's Amber Jenkins joins us live from Villas Heights Christian Church in Joplin. Good morning, Amber.
Good morning. It's about half an hour until Missouri polling locations open their doors. I spoke to the Jasper County election clerk about what voters should bring to the polls.
To make sure that you have a Missouri issued or federally issued photo ID. That includes a Missouri driver's license, a Missouri non-driver's ID, a U.S. passport, a U.S. military ID card, or a U.S. veterans ID card. We do ask that you have that ready when you get to the polls, so that way you can get in and get out very quickly.
Missouri polling locations are set to open at 6 a.m. this morning. Elise, back to you.
All right, Amber, thanks. The school year is about to begin again, which means school buses will soon become a regular sight in traffic. Students and parents in Carthage will get a chance to learn about the district's bus routes and procedures today. The school bus information night will also include a bus tour, a safety lesson on and around the bus, and a meeting with the district's transportation team.
It's important because I know that the younger kids leaving home for maybe the first time, it's got to be a little bit scary for them. So if we can do anything to get them a little bit comfortable, that's what we're going to shoot for.
The event will run from 4 to 7 p.m. today at the Carthage High School Commons and is available to all students in the districts and their parents. Well, Kansans, now is the time for your voice to be heard in regards to the look of your license plate. The Kansas Department of Revenue opened its voting on new personalized license plate designs. There are 5 distinctive design options for Kansans to select from. Voting is open until Friday at 5 p.m. You can find a link to the poll on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. The Pittsburgh High School Marching Band is feeling the music as they kick off band camp. We sent photojournalist Ty Parks to see how they're handling the heat.
Attention, hut, PHS! Forward, march, and 1, 2, 3, 4.
You have to drink a lot of water, definitely. Staying hydrated is like the most important thing, because if you're not hydrated, you'll probably not make it the whole day. But I think Mr. Neal also does really good about giving us plenty of breaks throughout the time period that we're here. Definitely the people. It's a very diverse community that we have. There's definitely a lot of people that are in sports and all the way to math club. So the range of people that we get here is very different, and everyone's very accepting of that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right now.
It's definitely a lot of positive encouragement, and we always try to set off areas just in case if someone's not feeling well. You know, we have a tent for them that can drink water. I always bring snacks just in case to help any students. So it's a lot of just being patient and understanding, but also give support.
Reason for a purpose, so do it! Benton Hunt
PHS!
Usually on day 1 of band camp, there are, obviously we usually like to wait until it's the hottest week of summer to have band camp, which it's just the way that it works out, but it's always a bummer. I try to encourage kids beforehand. I always see freshmen the week before, and we do a lot of inside things as well. And so I tell them, over the weekend, you need to be hydrating. You have to drink water now. You have to eat well now. You have to start getting outside of your enclosed spaces and get out of that computer chair for a little bit this weekend and start doing some walking and prep, because it just gets intense really quickly. And so when I get to see the freshmen who have never experienced this before, then they at least get a weekend of forewarning.
A little bit, and so you are going to just squat down just a tiny little bit, okay?
I think that there's this shared camaraderie through I don't want to say the agony of marching band, but usually what we do out here is uncomfortable. We could be sitting inside and making music so much easier than what we're doing here right now. And so I think one of the special things about marching band is these kids make fast friends. It is a great community to be a part of.
The PHS band camp runs through Friday, which is capped off with a performance for parents at 5:30 p.m. Let's look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Italy's Mount Etna erupted with ash clouds reaching 6 miles, causing nearby airports to divert flights. Plus, the world is watching the Middle East as world leaders try to prevent violence there from turning into another war. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Stopping World Watch. Italy's Mount Etna erupted Sunday, causing nearby airports to divert flights. Ash clouds reaching 6 miles high were seen out Mount Etna as high lava fountains and large black clouds of ash spewed out of the volcano. Mount Etna is Europe's largest active volcano. It's one of the most active volcanoes in the world and has been particularly active over the last 5 years. North Korea delivers 250 nuclear-capable missile launchers to military units. Leader Kim Jong-un held a ceremony before the missiles were sent out, calling for an expansion of the country's nuclear program. North Korean state media say it's an effort to defend the nation from potential U.S. threats. There are growing concerns over North Korea's nuclear program. As Kim Jong says, the country now has overwhelming firepower along its border with South Korea. The world is closely watching the Middle East as world leaders try to prevent violence there from turning into an all-out war. There are also reports U.S. service members have been hurt during an attack at a base in Iraq. Connor Hansen has more from New York.
U.S. officials say several Americans have been injured at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq in a suspected rocket attack. It's unclear if it's connected to the ongoing fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border. Israel has been preparing for retaliation from Iran after a senior Hamas leader was killed inside Tehran and a Hezbollah leader was killed in a strike in Lebanon. Top diplomats have been working around the clock trying to prevent escalation and salvage the fragile ceasefire deal.
All parties must take steps to ease tensions. Escalation is not in anyone's interests. It will only lead to more conflict, more violence, more insecurity.
Both President Biden and Vice President Harris met with their national security team to be briefed on the situation. The White House says they discussed what they are doing to protect U.S. forces along with Israel and how to respond to a potential attack. The U.S. has moved more warships and fighter jets into the region.
We have been sending consistent messages through our diplomatic engagements, encouraging people to communicate to the government of Iran that escalation is not in their interest and that we will defend Israel from attacks and that escalation does not serve Iran's interests.
Back in April, Iran launched more than 300 missiles and drones towards Israel. Most were intercepted. A number of major airlines have canceled flights to and from the region as several countries warn their citizens to leave.
Now to look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 546 now on this Tuesday morning. We're starting with a live look from our camera at Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Again, still a southerly breeze, but later this afternoon it'll begin to switch out of the north. Starting to get a little bit of daylight out there, and we've got clear skies. Heading up to the east of that location, down the 7th and Range Line. Our camera there also looking pretty good this morning. I'll head down south now to 32nd and Range Line. Traffic is moving. Again, that's always a good thing. And we're starting the day off fairly mild for most of us across the area as well. KDOT camera 69 in Kansas Crossing. Traffic again moving right along, so no concerns there. All right, the future track. By noon, we're already going to start to get into that wind shift out there. So with that said, some of us may only reach highs in the low 90s. The further north you are, really along the 54 corridor, you have a slightly better chance of being a little cooler than your neighbors because you're going to start to get into this transition a little earlier than the rest of us. Now, this cold front is not going to bring in cold air by any means, but it will bring in drier air like what we saw at the end of last week, and that will help out just a little bit across the area. But most of us, again, really along and south of 54, have a better opportunity of going upper 90s, maybe even some lower lower 100s out there as this system passes through and brings us that drier air. Now, that drier air will also allow us, look at how fast those temperatures drop overnight tonight. It will allow us to drop pretty quickly as we head into the overnight hours, as again, the air just simply dries out. And tonight, we're looking for most of us to be mid-upper 60s, so relatively close to or even slightly below normal. We head into our Wednesday. It's still going to be a warm one, but it is a slow warm-up as we go upper 70s, low 80s by noon. And we'll start to see highs into the upper 80s and some low 90s across the area. And even into our Thursday, we're still going to be a bit on the warm side, but we're also going to have some opportunities for some showers and storms. Quick look, again, heat advisory most of northeastern Oklahoma through 9 this evening because, again, it is going to get hot today. And the further south you are, the hotter it'll be because the longer it'll take for this drier air to work into your area down there. Outside in Joplin right now, 75. Dew point humidity both up there, that breezing in. South-southwest at 6. So it is warm. It is above normal because our average low is about 69, and we are well above that. Now some, Jay, for example, at or even a degree below the normal low, 68 in Jay. The majority of us, though, low mid-70s, and we still have even some upper 70s out there this morning. So, again, an uncomfortable start, to say the least. Sunny skies as we get the day underway, and like yesterday, maybe a few clouds here or there. Will be about 90 by 11 o'clock this morning. And like I said, most of us are going to have that opportunity to be upper 90s, low 100s today. So if yesterday wasn't hot enough for you, maybe a little hotter for some of us today with those sunny skies, maybe a few passing clouds. A few clouds overnight tonight. And again, through the evening initially, it's going to take a bit for us to start to cool down. We're still 80 by 10, but once we get late night tonight after sunrise, those temperatures really start to fall, and we're looking at mid-upper 60s for most of us out there. A low to mid-90s tomorrow, mid-90s possible, low mid-90s Thursday. Maybe some morning showers and storms. Morning showers and storms Friday, but that system still looks to knock our temperatures down considerably, though, maybe even below normal. Upper 80s. We'll go low 90s next week with some additional rain chances. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, there's a new bakery in Dallas that's all about student empowerment. It's operated inside the Notre Dame School of Dallas, which is a special needs Catholic school. Nicole Nielsen has more from the creator.
I'm always a very happy, colorful, smiley, I love smiley faces.
If you sit down with Meredith Pace, a staff member at the Notre Dame School of Dallas, you'd know pretty quickly where her passions lie.
It's just the most joyful, happy, job. Everyone's just excited to see you. And
she's been a part of the staff for the all special needs Catholic school for 14 years.
I think that's just shows exactly how much I love what I do. It's just really a special, special place.
The school is all about empowering their students to become as independent as possible. She thought back to how she grew independence as a child through her love of baking.
Since I was really little, I remember standing on a stool with a mixer in my hand. I couldn't even reach the counter.
Which is why back in March, she decided to start an after-school cookie club named Happy Flower. And what started as 10 students began to grow.
Within 2 weeks, it was becoming a people placing orders business.
Word began to spread, and the bakery inside the cafeteria walls was born into an official business. Woohoo! Meredith has even hired her first part-time employee, Casey.
I think I'm kind of happy and excited.
Part of the curriculum for school, each student is required to hold jobs at different local businesses that partner with them, like Fuzzy's or the Perot. Happy Flower will now be an official business that students can work for. With 20 members now part of her club, Meredith says she hopes it's only the beginning, currently taking online orders with dreams of opening a storefront in the future.
I think it's important for people to see, how capable our population is. There you go.
Notre Dame School was founded in 1963. The school serves students with developmental disabilities ages 6 through 22 years old. Stick around. We'll be right back. Google is expanding a parent control feature on mobile devices kids use. Google's School Time will help to restrict what and when kids can access on mobile devices. We'll be coming to more devices soon, such as Android phones, tablets, and Samsung Galaxy watches. Google introduced the limit setting options on its Fitbit Ace LTE smartwatches in May, and School Time will give parents function control such as setting device use limits during school hours. and yet lets kids be reached during emergencies by calls and messages from certain allowed contacts. Just which Android phones or tablets will get this school time compatibility isn't yet known. Well, today, August 6th, is National Night Out, a time to promote police and community partnerships. The day has been celebrated since 1984 in both the U.S. and Canada. Police departments and community groups host events like block parties, barbecues, and even festivals. One of the largest national night out events is in Columbus, Ohio. But whether big or small, community events that include law enforcement can build camaraderie and impact neighborhoods in positive ways. By improving those relationships, crimes could be prevented and our neighborhoods could become safer.
And if you're attending a National Night Out event, you want to make sure that you are prepared for some heat. It's still going to be a bit toasty as we head into the evening. We're looking at sunny skies through the morning, about 90 by 11 o'clock. Now, with this front coming through, bringing in the north winds, drier air, some of our northern counties, say along 54 and north, you may only make the low 90s today and then start falling back a bit. You won't plummet, but you'll fall back a bit. But the majority of us looking to be upper 90s and low 100s out there. Sunny skies, south winds will eventually switch out of the north for all of us as we head through the rest of the afternoon and evening. Still a bit mild down to 80 by 10, and then with that drier air overnight, we fall back pretty quickly, mid-upper 60s. We'll go low mid-90s tomorrow, low mid 90s on Thursday, maybe some morning showers and storms Thursday and Friday. We're still looking to cool down a bit heading into the weekend, mid-upper 80s. We'll go low 90s next week with some additional rain chances. That's Check Your Forecast. We are back with more right after this.